What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about Sundial Growers stock, ticker symbol SNDL, because we are running up today. We're up fairly big. Shorts are absolutely running away from Sundial stock. We're going to look at the shorts running away. We're going to discuss the very important upcoming Alcanna acquisition discussion, as well as some legalization news. So we've got a lot to look at today. And first off, we're going to start looking off at the chart because you can see we are up on the very first trading day of 2022. We're up over 6% on Sundial, about 6.5%. A lot of these cannabis stocks are running because a lot of people are expecting that 2022 will be the year that cannabis is legalized. And you can see that on the 30-day chart, Sundial has been doing not too good ever since the past month hit, right? We had the past month, we were downtrending, but something very good has happened recently, right? We were downtrending. We had a double bottom at 53 cents. We ran up to almost 70 cents. We got stopped out at 69 before moving back down. Finally found some support around 58 cents, which is where we most recently bumped off of, and now we're on our way up again. So we have a 6% gain on the day off of this bounce that we're seeing, as well as the beginning of 2022, and some great news coming out, some things that people are expecting for Sundial stock this year, as well as some shorts exiting today, as we're about to take a look at. So you can see on Ortex that the short interest change is actually down 3.3% today. So 3.3% of shorts decided to get out of Dodge with Sundial. They decided there wasn't much opportunity left in it to make money to the downside, and they decided to take their profits or their losses and run. Probably profits, though, because Sundial is still actually fairly low, all things considered, where it's been in the past. It's still fairly low on this overall chart. So Sundial shorts are actually still in the green on this, and that's probably why they're deciding to take some profits, because it's looking like Sundial might turn around in 2022. We're almost certainly going to have a great year, and they kind of shorted it to oblivion, to be fair, right? There were at one point over 350 million shares short. We're now down to 250 million shares, so about 100 million shares worth of shorts on Sundial decided to exit their position, and they got out of it because they realized this thing had been pushed down all too much, right? And unfortunately, a lot of retail investors were likely discouraged to see the most recent dip on Sundial, and they probably handed over some Sundial shares to the shorts so that they could cover. And unfortunately, retail probably took a bit of a loss on that when they were making those sales. But I do expect that they'll still have plenty of opportunity to get back in if they choose, because we've got a lot of good stuff for Sundial looking forward. So currently, we are down to 12.36% of the free float being shorted on Sundial and 253 million shares. It's my expectation that those numbers will drop dramatically over the course of the year as more good news continues coming out for Sundial. As a matter of fact, we actually have a little bit of good news that just came out a couple of days ago. Indiana marijuana legalization and regulatory bills have been pre-filed for the 2022 session. We've already discussed this a little bit, but basically this is the confirmation that Indiana lawmakers will have their pick of cannabis reform bills to take up during the 2022 session, with newly pre-filed legislation covering everything from legalization, possession, to initial steps for setting up regulatory infrastructure for the marijuana market. So Sue Arrington is actually the Democrat who's sponsoring this legislation, and it's notable that the state's anti-legalization governor recently signaled he could support the legalization in his state. So he's an anti-legalization governor. He's typically taken stances against cannabis, and this is a trend that I expect we will see not just in the states like we have been for the past couple of weeks and months when we've been looking at all of this legalization news in the states. It's a trend that I expect we will continue to see in Congress as more people in the House and the Senate are actually taking more of a pro-legalization stance as we have these November elections coming up, the midterm elections. A lot of politicians, including Republicans and Democrats, are probably going to try to garner some support from the public by supporting legalization, because they know that legalization is widely supported by the people. When you run polls, you tend to see the same thing. Most people support legalization regardless of party. Both Republican and Democrat support legalization. So this is a trend that I expect we will likely continue in 2022 as we get closer to federal legalization. Now, there is one quick thing before I start talking about the Alcanna acquisition that I have to mention. We are currently at 9,000 subscribers, 9,000 people in the Sundial family. My hope is to get this to 10,000 pretty darn soon. So if you want to join the Sundial family, get more Sundial stock news, feel free to subscribe to the channel, join the family. It's greatly appreciated. This is definitely the #1 place to get Sundial stock news. We cover it so frequently here. Whenever there is anything to announce, we're covering it. So feel free to join, bump this thing up to 10 grand, and we're trying to get some subscribers in here. So let's go talk about Alcanna now. So Alcanna has recently reminded shareholders to vote for the proposed plan of arrangement. So basically what the gist is with Alcanna is we're waiting for the special meeting, which is occurring on January 7th of 2022. So in just 4 more days, we're going to have this meeting where Alcanna decides whether or not they are going to merge with Sundial. Sundial has already given their full support for it. They want to have the merger go through. We're now waiting for Alcanna, because it's a public company, or rather because there are public shareholders in this company. They're able to vote for themselves and decide if they want this merger to go through. Now, the merger was supposed to go through last month. However, they didn't get enough votes coming in to actually make a decision one way or the other. They needed about 10% of the shareholders to actually send in their votes. So they decided to delay it about a month. Now we're in January. Now the date is coming up. January 7th is the day that we can expect this merger to go through. And Alcanna is reminding their shareholders to vote, because potentially they don't actually have enough votes yet, right? They're actually getting ISS and Glass Lewis, two leading independent proxy advisory firms, to recommend that Alcanna shareholders vote for the arrangement as well. So they are trying everything they can to get those votes coming in, because sometimes when you're holding a company, you aren't paying the most attention to it, and you're not actually paying attention to these votes. And even if you are, you might not want to bother with your shares, but they're trying, nevertheless, to get the last of the votes that they need to come in. Most people, I expect, will actually be voting for this arrangement. I think that they know that Sundial is potentially a really good company to be getting in on. They're getting a decent deal going in through Alcanna through this merger, and we're going to discuss a bit more about why this merger is a really important thing for Sundial, right? Because Sundial has a lot of opportunity in 2022 from the cannabis market, but they can also get a lot of opportunity and potential gains from the alcohol market. So Sundial will be acquiring Alcanna, as long as that vote goes well, for $346 million. And this is actually probably going to be pretty transformative for Sundial, because Alcanna is Canada's largest private liquor retailer, and they operate 171 liquor locations under 3 different retail brands. But that's not all. They actually have majority ownership interest in Nova Cannabis, which has about 60 cannabis shops that could then start holding Sundial's products. They could then start operating for Sundial. So that would definitely be really beneficial. And in fact, Sundial CEO Zach George has commented that Alcanna's value-focused model in liquor retailing has created market stability, and we believe that the replication of this playbook in cannabis has strong potential to drive a similar result. So basically, he's saying that Alcanna has been very successful with what they've done with liquor. In fact, they've become the #1 largest private liquor retailer. And he's saying that he wants to take some of what Alcanna's done and move that onto Sundial. Basically, he wants to learn from them. He wants to learn from their team and move that into Sundial and become a leading cannabis company, not just in Canada, most likely, potentially in the United States as well. As soon as we see legalization, there have been some moves with Sunstream, I believe it was Sunstream holding company for Sundial that has been moving into the United States. So we're looking at some really good stuff for Sundial over the long term, not just in Canada, but also in the United States. And he did point out, right, it was pointed out that the Alcanna acquisition will give Sundial Growers some street cred, right, because they'll be working with a more proven company, right? This is Canada's largest private liquor retailer. It's definitely going to give Sundial more street cred, as they say. So basically, this could be a really good move for Sundial as long as we get that merger going through. So the 7th is going to be a key date to watch out for. We're really going to want to keep our eye on this merger. Once again, the 5th, if you happen to be an Alcanna shareholder, you might be. If you happen to be a shareholder of Alcanna, then the 5th is the last date to vote by proxy. So the proxy voting deadline is 10 a.m. on January 5th. If you haven't voted for that, go vote. It's important. And January 7th is when we will know whether or not this merger went through. That's when we should be getting the news of whether or not Alcanna will be merging with Sundial. But even if it doesn't, we are seeing some good moves in Sundial. We're up almost 7% on the day, near highs of day. Sundial is looking incredibly green throughout 2022. In fact, from 2021, the yearly gains that Sundial has seen in 2022, since this is the only day of trading, is 6.95%. So it's fairly impressive what Sundial's been able to do. And obviously, guys, none of this is financial advice. I'm not recommending that anyone buy or sell any shares of stock or do anything with their money. I'm just giving you guys my opinion, letting you know what I think about these stocks, and trying to give you some of my opinion. So if you enjoy that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of Sundial news here, so if you like Sundial news, feel free to subscribe, like the video. That's much appreciated. But other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, we'll see a very green year with Sundial in 2022. Other than that, see you in the next one. Bye.